right, so good evening and welcome to the January 14th, 2026 meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees. Please remember to stay muted unless speaking and state your name clearly for the record. We'll start tonight with a roll call of trustees. Trustee Agudelo here, Trustee Brooks,
Here.
Trustee Hampton Dance,
Here.
Trustee Kafour, Trustee McAvoy,
Here.
Trustee Pincombe.
Here.
And with that, we'll move to our first item, approval of the minutes from November 13th, 2025. The draft minutes were circulated in advance. I'll pause briefly to see if any trustees have any corrections or clarifications. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll motion to approve.
So
Second.
on that motion, we'll proceed with a roll call. Trustee Agudelo, yes. Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Hampton Dance,
Yes.
Trustee Kafour, Trustee McAvoy,
Yes.
Trustee Pincombe.
Yes.
And with that, the motion passes. And this brings us to our next item, a request for Affordable Housing Trust Fund contract amendment for the 22 Elm Street LLC 2 Chestnut Place condominium project. And with that, the chair recognizes Jeanette and the 2 Chestnut Place development team.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I'll get this item started. So before turning it over to the developer for a project update, I'd just like to provide some context from the city side regarding the proposed contract amendment for the Chestnut Place condominium project. So over the past several months, the city has been working in partnership with the state and the development team to address challenges affecting the project. As we've seen across many projects, overall construction and project costs have increased significantly, and one of the anticipated funding sources did not ultimately come to fruition for this project. So the development team will provide a little more detail on the project-specific impacts and the steps taken to keep the project moving forward. But from the city's perspective, I just want to clarify that the proposed additional funding does not come from the dollars already held within the trust fund. So at the end of calendar year 2025, a number of the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, funding commitments expired. And as part of the city's kind of closeout and reconciliation process, identified $250,000 in unexpended ARPA funds that can be reallocated to support this project. And so ARPA funds, they're restricted in how they may be reassigned, and they can only be shifted to existing ARPA contracts. So because the trust fund already has an active contract in place for this project, the appropriate mechanism for allocating these funds is through an amendment to the existing contract rather than through a separate standalone agreement. So in practical terms, the ARPA funds will be transferred to the trust solely to facilitate this amendment, allowing the project to remain viable without drawing on existing trust resources. Back to the chair.
Thank you. And with that, we'll open the floor for questions from any of the trustees.
Oh, if I may, so I think the developer has a presentation they'd like to share.
Please.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Cosme, for the introduction. Good evening, Chair Agudelo and board members. My name is Brian Nguyen. I am Senior Project Manager with the Planning Office for Urban Affairs. We're a nonprofit organization based in Boston, and I am here joined with our president, Bill Grogan, and he would like to say a quick hello.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you taking up this matter this evening. I think we're really excited to give you an update on the project, notwithstanding the challenges that Jeanette mentioned. Everyone who we've talked to as we've been going through with the project has been really excited about the addition of these affordable condominium units into the downtown area. As we get into don't want to steal some of the punchline in terms of the marketing that's already been undertaken, but there's been really well received, strong interest in these units as well. And again, really excited to be bringing this together. What Brian will walk through. We'll provide an update, some of the challenges, how we're working to address those challenges from the funding, and assistance looking for from the Housing Trust to help do that, in addition to other commitments that we've received, for example, from foundation funds to help close a gap as well. But again, thank you very much, and turn it back over to you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. I will now share my screen. Have a little presentation. Let me know when you all see this.
I'm able to see it on my screen.
I can see it.
Okay, great. So we'll start with a project update by providing some in-progress photos of on site. Just speak a little bit to the photos. Upper left photo is of the building, the site before construction, and then you can see in progress construction photos of the north elevation. This is the front of the building, and then the south elevation with the windows installed. Bottom left window. This floor. This is a first floor unit with large arch windows. And the arch windows are, really on the first floor for the first floor units, and then some in-unit finishes. We are in the process of installing the cabinets, so great to see. Also like to share renderings of the community room, the common space. Here we have this will be in the low level, and this is the kitchen. And the living room of a 2-unit bedroom. This is, I believe, unit 101. And then moving along to another rendering of the living room and the bedroom. Okay, great. So moving on to a project update. As Bill mentioned, we're very excited that the project is near completion. The construction is at about 7% completion. We expect building delivery to be in later April of this year. As Bill mentioned, marketing commence in December. The lottery period started on December 1st and will be going through January 30th. Like Bill said, there's been strong interest. We received 75 applications to date. And for outreach, we have reached out to the Worcester Housing Authority, the Worcester Community Housing Resources, RCAP Solutions, as well as other city and regional agencies. Mr. Cosme, if there's any other city organization that you would like us to reach out, we'll be happy to do that. Moving on to the challenges, we would say, if you recall, if I go back to a photo up here of the original building, so the building is comprised of 3 additions, right? Where the first addition was built in late 1800s, with a second addition, I would say early 1900s, and then it expanded later in the rear in the mid 1900s, 1940s. So because of these 3 additions, the team encountered several design challenges and even more construction challenges. As we started demo the building, we encounter unforeseen structural as well as unexpected conditions that led to additional abatement, as well as additional site coordination and a lot of sequence revisions, right? All this led to the project, the schedule extension. April was originally delivered in February. But we have to report, knock on wood, but we're over that hump, and we're clear for building delivery in April. I would say on financial limitations, So we're projecting the cost overrun to be approximately $1 million. And as Bill mentioned, we explored different avenues on how to address the gap. Obviously, the first area was where, which area we can VE. But unfortunately, that exercise was completed, around closing, and there's really not much there. There was an opportunity for the project to submit into the Mass Development UPP grant in June. We submitted our application, but unfortunately was unsuccessful. Since then, we reach out to the city as well as the Mass Housing in discussion for potential assistance there. And today, Mass Housing have indicated that they're open to review our requests, so that those discussions are ongoing. Bill also mentioned that we reach out to banks and foundations whom we have partnered with in the past and who have provided some budget gap assistance on prior projects. So these conversations are ongoing as well. And then just want to know, finally, as you know, these are 80% AMI condo units. The sale prices are capped, and so there's really no additional upside with the sale prices. So with that in summary, our team have explored and undertaken several paths to address the budget gap, before submitting this request to the city. So we really appreciate your assistance and consideration for this request. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'll open the item for questions from anyone on the board.
Through the chair, I just want to know, you said you submitted an application and it was denied, and what was the reasoning that application you submitted was denied?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great question. So, as you can imagine, the funding sources are very stretched. There's a lot of projects, looking for resources, and our understanding is that the funds generally reserved for new construction, new projects, where this project is already in construction, and that's where they feel like this is not a good fit. The project is not a good fit for those funds.
Thank you.
Through the chair, maybe for Jeanette, the question is this the only project that might be eligible to receive these funds, or are there other projects that would be eligible to receive these funds if this underspend was available?
Through the chair, so I can try to answer to the best of my ability. My understanding, I wasn't part of the larger conversations within the city around reallocating ARPA dollars. So this was brought to the trust as the use for that, those $250,000 of ARPA dollars that have to be reallocated. And the dollars are limited by, they have to go to existing and active contracts that the city has with ARPA. So I think that's one of the primary reasons why it's going toward this project. And I don't know if Jim has any additional insight that he'd like to share. Okay.
Yeah, so as Jeanette mentioned, it's really constricted to timing. This project, as the team mentioned, is really in the final stages. Additionally, most costs are contained at this point. And whereas some of the other projects are just getting to closing now. So the risk level to add any additional funds might be a little bit higher than this project coming to completion. should be noted also that, other dollars did go to other housing related issues. The city manager gave $500,000 in additional fuel assistance that's going to be available also. So there are other, not specific to the trust fund here, but housing related issues. There were additional dollars allocated.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? So hearing none, I'll move to approve the requested contract amendment for the 2 Chestnut Place condominium project by 22 Elm Street LLC, subject to the standard legal review and execution. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
So on that, I'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Agudelo, yes. Trustee Brooks,
Sorry. Yes.
Trustee Hampton Dance,
Yes.
Trustee Kafour, Trustee McAvoy,
Yes.
Trustee Pincombe,
Yes.
and with that, the motion passes. So thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
So with that, we'll move on to our next item, a vote to establish a vice chair position. So the next agenda item is an item to vote to establish the vice chair position for the board. The purpose of the item is to support facilitating meetings, strengthening the continuity of leadership, and providing for some succession planning. The law department has issued an opinion confirming that the board has the authority to establish the position by vote. So tonight, we want to limit it to just establishing the position itself. And then the selection of a chair, should the vote pass, is something that we can look at on a future meeting. So I'll pause here to see if there's any questions from anybody joining us on the call. So hearing none, I move to establish a vice chair position for the Worcester Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees. And do I have a second to that?
Second.
I second.
So with that, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Agudelo, yes. Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
Trustee Hampton Dance,
Yes.
Trustee Kafour,
Yes.
Trustee McAvoy,
Yes.
Trustee Pincombe,
Yes.
and with that, the item passes. So next, we'll move to a financial status update. With that, the chair recognizes Jeanette for a staff presentation.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll provide a brief financial status update to the trust, and I shared a financial summary with you earlier. So since the last financial update in November, $62,657 and some change of interest has accrued to the trust, which brings the total interest that has accrued to approximately $2,049,000. On the revenue side, donations reflect the receipt of all 3 partial payments from the Arbella at Bramble Hill developer. So those are now fully accounted for in that summary. And with those additions, the total of all funding sources in the trust is about $20,338,000. Then in terms of expenditures, disbursements to date total about $9,889,000. And this represents just under $2.8 million in expenditures since our meeting in November. And with that, I'll turn it back to the chair.
Wonderful. So with that, are there any questions on any of those financial points? So hearing none, we'll move to our next item, updates and announcements. And with that, the chair once again recognizes Jeanette for staff updates.
Thank you again. So I'm going to just give a quick high-level snapshot of where projects are in the pipeline. So we have between the ARPA funded projects and CPA, we are at 21. So a number of projects are actively under construction. Residences on Lincoln Square, which is the former Boys Club, has an anticipated substantial completion date of the first building in late April of this year. And the lottery process for those affordable units has concluded, but the wait list remains open. For Curtis Apartments Phase 1, one of the buildings is complete and partially occupied, and the second building of that phase is on track for substantial completion in March. Construction is also continuing to progress at 49 West Street, 24 Jackson Street, and the 116 Piedmont Street homeownership project. In terms of on the delivery side of things, certificates of occupancy have been issued at a few projects. So Habitat for Humanity has completed the 2 homeownership units on Sunderland Road. Merrick at the Square is fully complete, and as of the end of December, it was approximately 50% occupied, and people were continuing to move in. And then 17 Herman Street has received its certificate of occupancy with the rental lottery that is scheduled for January 26th. And we're working on a ribbon cutting for that project. So once that is scheduled, we'll invite the board to that for sure. And then in terms of near-term financial closings, closing calls are ongoing for a few projects as well. Several are in the final stages of financing. LaGrange Lofts and Curtis Apartments Phase 2 are both targeting financial closings this February. And Lakeside Phase 2, which is the homeownership project with 10 units, they're targeting the closing this week. We're waiting on one final document from HUD, but that is queued up to close, if not by the end of this week, then next week for sure. And then finally, in terms of the rest of the CPA funded projects, those are continuing to advance through post award conditions. So 12 Benefit Street, for example, they have submitted their affirmative fair housing marketing plan and local action unit application to the state, and that's what's required to make sure that the units that are, the 2 units that are funded by the trust count toward the state's subsidized housing inventory. So overall, I know I just said a lot, but overall, the portfolio continues to move steadily from award to construction to occupancy. And then outside of projects, just 2 updates. One, the application to the Community Preservation Committee was submitted last week, and it looks like the meeting where the application will be presented to the CPC will be the week of February 9th. And that is something, if you want to attend in support of the trust, I'll let you know when we're scheduled. We don't have that yet. And then our next board meeting is also scheduled for that week on February 11th. So that's all I have. I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Thank you for that. And does anybody have any questions on any of those points?
Yes, through the chair, Ms. Cosme, do you know, based on all the ones that are online now, do you have an approximate number of units? You don't have to have the exact number, but how many units are now online under the affordable housing section?
For the chair, I can do some quick math. I'll just need a moment.
Thank you. I think that it's great. Seeing progress now. That's amazing just to know that there's units coming online, because it's been a long progress for a lot of these organizations developing.
And how about this? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
go
going to
ahead.
say
No, go ahead.
I'll do the math and email that update out to the board in case I don't do it in time for this meeting.
And you don't need to do it tonight. It's after hours here.
Sorry, Jeanette. Through the chair, I guess my question is maybe for Jeanette or Jim, maybe one of you guys two can answer it for me, is I know a lot of these developers and spaces are being built and things like that, and there's application processes. But if I could recall, like in the beginning of, when we first became established, it was an ask on our end that they would provide us like when their applications would be coming online type of deal. Jeanette, you kind of like touched on it a little bit, like when their lotteries are and things like that. But we really don't have a lot of that information and so I'm seeing like a lot of these lotteries happening. And like you said, one of the buildings, Merrick on the Square, is half full already. Like, I don't see a lot of promotion happening behind like people needing these units and being readily able to access the information that these things are actually taking place, that there are units available. And so I guess my question is, and the point to my question is, are we being provided with that information, and am I missing it at some point in time?
Sure. So through the chair, so I will say first, I will try to do a better job of highlighting that. It may get buried in the status updates. And all of the projects are required to follow an affirmative fair housing marketing plan. And so there is outreach that's being done. But it's not, the board isn't one of the parties that receives notice. I will make an effort to be better about calling that out for the board. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And yeah, no, I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
I had another question before we wrap up through the chair. Is Francisco Valdez no longer a trustee? I know he had mentioned on the last meeting that he might need to step down, but I didn't see him on the list of trustees today.
That is correct. We have another open seat that we have, yeah, candidates in the pipeline. But
how many open seats do we have right now?
we currently have 3. We have 2 potential trustees in the pipeline, like I said, but I definitely appreciate any outreach that as trustees you can do. That would be very helpful.
Well, I'll tell you now, there's someone on this call that's interested in being a trustee. So if you haven't spoken to her yet, she joined today because she wants to be involved. And I endorse her.
I've been joining the last couple meetings, and I was trying to get just acquainted with things before even applying to be a trustee and whatnot. So just knowing that there's spots, I will definitely send you an email. I do have your card, so I'll send you an email, Jeanette. So maybe I can be considered.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions on those announcements, updates? So hearing none, I'll move forward to our next item. Any potential future agenda items? Just right now, anticipated topics include upcoming funding rounds and policy or program refinements, but I'll pause here to see if anybody has any other items they'd like to consider.
So through the chair.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope, all you.
All right, thank you. So I know in the past we discussed fundraising, and I would like to know where we are with that idea, or did we just kind of give up on it altogether?
So I would say,
go
from my point, we haven't given up on it. The first step was making sure we're even allowed. So it does appear that we're allowed. That committee would function sort of in parallel to the main committee, so we can bring in other folks besides the people that are on this to help us join or to help us raise funds. There is, I believe, a city council. I'll let the city staff kind of confirm this, but we do still, if we're going to take donations, need to get them approved or accepted by the city council. But the big step is actually starting it. I know I brought it up as an idea, candidly, just had a kid 2-3 months ago, so I haven't been able to run with it too much, but from my end, that's the status, but I'll defer to Jim here, see if he's got other points to add.
No, through the chair. I think one thing that's probably going to be coming online here in the next 3 to 6 months is payments in lieu with inclusionary zoning. There are several projects right now that have been proposed and have kind of started some of the meetings, whether it's planning board or going through the process of getting permitted, that there could be potential payments in lieu rather than the developers themselves building the units. So more to come on that, but I think between now and the summer we'll hear some more on that.
Thank you.
And if I may just jump in to address one of the questions about, so in terms of accepting donations, it's a board vote, does not have to go to city council. That's one of the reasons why the trust exists, is that it doesn't require going back to city council. Once trustees have decided who's going to be on that subcommittee, I'm here to help support that. If there is a quorum, it needs to be an open meeting, so we need to post notice at least 48 hours in advance, and I'm here to make sure that that happens. Yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations, Victor.
Thank you.
Just had a quick question with regards to funding that was received. Are we, if there are conditions attached to those funds, I mean, are we able to kind of make commitments to do that, or do those funds need to be kind of received without limitations?
So through the chair, I'll take it. About answering this. So donations so far, we've received one donation and that was unrestricted. So there are no limitations. We're just subject to like the funding source. So the CPA dollars, we need to follow, the state regulations for that. But otherwise, it may depend on what comes in the future, but those inclusionary zoning payments in lieu will not be subject to any restrictions or limitations.
Through the chair, just one thing, the only thing I can really think of is maybe the donor would want home ownership, the funds to go to like home ownership rather than rental or something. Obviously, we'd have to make sure that, all the fair housing stuff, we're not not violating fair housing in accepting a donation for something, but I could see like maybe home ownership versus rental or something like that. And if I might, Mr. Chair, I think one of the other topics to begin to talk about next month is naming a vice chair. So anyone who would be interested, hopefully we can put that on the agenda for next month and discuss further.
That sounds good to me. Any other future agenda items? So hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm having a little trouble with my mic. It comes on when it feels like it. I apologize. You had put in the minutes something about CHAPA. Is that still open, or I thought that was closed for the academy? Do you have any information on that through the chair?
So yeah, that program, that application has closed and they've selected the folks for this initial cohort, but I will definitely share any other opportunities that come up in the future like that.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
were we waiting on a second to adjourn?
So if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
And do I have a second?
Second,
A second.
So with that, we'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Agudelo, yes. Trustee Brooks,
Yes.
trustee Hampton Dance,
Yes.
trustee Kafour,
yes.
trustee McAvoy,
Yes.
trustee Pincombe.
Yes.
And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you at our next meeting.
Everybody have a great night.
Night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.